time to strap in and get ready.
The leaders in NRL Supercoach are incoming. Bringing you the ultimate insight to help you win your leagues and climb up the rankings.
You're now listening to the Insight NRL Show with your hosts, Braino Mattrix and Whisperer.
G'day guys, happy Sunday and welcome back to the Insight NRL Show. I'm the Supercoach Brain and joined as always by my co-host, the Supercoach Mattrix. Matty, how was your weekend, mate?
Yeah, pretty good. The mighty Broncos won. The Formula One is on tonight. I had a couple beverages, took the kids to the park, went to work, which wasn't too bad, really. So yeah, not a really bad week, but shit for Supercoach. Got my start sits right. I just didn't have a good enough team.
Tough. I don't really want to rub it in, but I did all right. I got 1492 this week, which gives me back-to-back, hopefully, upgrades into 1500. So 1520 last week, 1492 this week, which is handy. So I'm, pretty happy with how the team went. I actually left some points on the park, or on the bench, I should say. I sat Matty Burton this week, which I think maybe got in my own head a little bit about wanting to play Galvin on Thursday night. And yeah, I kind of cooked that one a little bit, and obviously didn't play Samuel Afainu. Missed out on some points there, but I was never playing him over Tarpany or Barnett either. So yeah, is what it is. But yeah, decent week. What was I know Phil loves us to do the little kind of sliding doors moment. What was the moment for you? You got your start sit right. Was there anything that you take back?
No, I got my start sit right. Like, maybe not getting Munster 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, there's a few decisions that I would like to go back on. One of them I put on X today, actually. For anybody who didn't see it, let me know what your worst or the decision is that you would like to take back if you could get one rewind for the year. Mine is selling Kale Iro about a month ago. And whilst I did that to free up a ton of cash to get Nathan Cleary, it still hurts a little bit to see him punch out fucking 95 every week, 110 after I sold him after averaging like 54 all year. So he's been awesome, though. If I could go back and get him back in my team, I would.
Yeah, I know it's hard. I looked at him, not owning him today too, but to go Lomax. But you know what? That got me into a lot of these head-to-head semi-finals as well. Trading Iro to Lomax because I would have copped an AE of something dog shit, like actually Tungo's 4. So yeah, you're right. It is a tough pill to swallow when you considered him a keeper and somebody you planned to hold and you had to get rid of him, eh?
Yeah. But look, it is what it is. I'm doing okay, so I shouldn't complain too much. But obviously, Sunday show, guys, Sunday wrap up, we get into the scores and have a chat about all the winners and the losers every single week. We'll go through all 8 games. But before we do, hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet. I know there's a few of you out there that haven't subscribed. Hit that little button for us. Turn the bell on if you want so that you know when we're going to go live. And hit the little like button for us. We would appreciate that if you're watching us on YouTube. And for those of you on audio, hit the follow button, leave us a 5-star review. And let us know how you went in the comments. If you're in the chat live, guys, we've got some big scores coming in already from what I can see here. 1462 from Aussie Windsock. But the big one, mate, Corey A here, Insight Unlimited member, 1663 this week. I was looking around trying to look through leagues at the moment, and that's the biggest score that I've seen so far.
I really hope that he can get a couple grand. He deserves it.
Huge week. Captain on Turbo had Hughes, Grant, Tupou, Gus, Teddy, Iro, 600s, and also had Fainu, Elikatoa, Nikora, and Trindle. That is wild. That is when you get everything right. It's just one of those weeks when nothing goes wrong.
Yeah, 100%. I got 1350. I just got some new microphone toys, some new audio toys to have a play with. So I didn't know. So I forgot to put her up on the screen. So
that's okay. I can do it for you because I worked out how to do it now. So
oh, really? Well played, sir. You
Yes.
have to show me that one to do it live.
Yeah. You're thanks to Mr. G Wiz for that one. But keep letting us know how you go, guys. There's some good scores in the chat here. 1455 from FC Sports as well. as 1351 from Haggy. So some pretty good scores. What do you think par is this week, mate? 1569 from Drew Carla as well. That's a big one.
Yeah, huge. Another 1565 there. I do think. Look, I think a lot of the guys that scored really well were quite highly owned. So I do expect 1300 probably to be par.
Yeah, I'd probably even say closer to 1350 maybe, based on leagues that I'm in. But yeah, like it's hard because some of the scores you see are like sub 1300. I've seen a lot of 1200s out there at the moment for people that didn't really get it right. But I've also seen 1450 plus. So that you see some big ones and some not so big. So tough to get
there's going to be a line in the sand. All those 1500 plus blokes got the captain right when it come to turbo or looped him. All like those mid tier guys probably just had, a Tedesco or somebody like that. And then there's the people out there that would have had the captain on a Lomax or a Carraz or blokes like that. Which honestly, it was hit and miss for me. Some fired, some didn't.
Shout out to Nathan Simpson who lost to a 1641. That's big. That's very big. Some 1400s, some 1500s. Christopher Maxfield, well done, mate. Some big scores. Shout out to me for telling Reese to play Brown over Iro. You're welcome. I probably owe you about 80 points. So that's good. Good for me. And the first question coming in, a very important one from Josh Strange here. G'day, Cobbers. What do you think of Ben Hunt as a buy? Should you answer this one?
Look, I just really like his connection with Lomax, and in the NFL world, they can stack. They got pumped today, and hopefully get pumped every game going forward. So I do not love. You know what? This could be Ben Hunt's biggest gift to the Broncos, losing these next couple games.
It could be because you guys are still alive, right? You're still in the hunt.
Mathematically
possible.
Just.
Does that mean that we expect Payne Haas to be back sooner rather than later now that you're still in the hunt?
Just as long as if we win next week and St. George lose, then definitely we're going to see Reece Walsh and Payne Haas rushed back in.
Yeah,
I believe he held off surgery. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Yeah, held off surgery in case this sort of situation happened.
Hey, and I mean they would have shut him down if you guys weren't going to make it through to the finals or weren't a chance. Kevy seems very very confident, which is good to see.
Oh, you got to throw it out in the universe. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep, mate. Let's dive into the games. Hey, West Tigers and the Sea Eagles, 34-26. The Tigers win this one, which is why I'm wearing my jersey. I usually only wear it when we do good, but I'm a proud Tigers supporter for once this week. Two on the trot from the Tigers, but the story wasn't about the Tigers in this one from a Supercoach perspective. It was about Tom Trbojevic, 158 Supercoach points. It was 161, but he did lose 3 points in downgrades, unfortunately. But I think 33% of people VC'd Tom Trbojevic on Thursday night. Be very happy with that.
Yeah, I get it. And had it been a better draw and I hadn't been so keen on Tedesco, would have been there for me too, because I did love the matchup. Tell you what, I didn't expect 158 in a fucking loss. I'm not a big swearer on the pod, but I can say nothing more than the Sea Eagles shat the bed.
Yeah, they're not. They weren't very good. They weren't very good in this one. Is a nice way to say it. But
they need to practice playing with 12 a bit more often, I think.
How about 3 sin bins against the Tigers? Usually it's for the Tigers. Usually we're down 12, 11 men. But yeah, I don't know what it was, but seemed like the referees had it out from the Sea Eagles in this one.
So when Peter Volandis messaged the refs in this one, he forgot to say for the Tigers.
Yeah, they mucked it up. They went the other way around.
Yeah.
Sorry, Volandis. But we'll take the win. We'll take the 8-point win. I thought we were going to cook it at the end there, but it is what it is. We'll take the dub. 158 for Turbo. Well played to those of you that went straight C. I know there are a few of you out there that went with the straight captain, which is a fantastic move. I'm a little bit spooked by the straight captaincy on a Thursday. Just it's hurt me more than it's helped me. So I steered clear, but I really loved Teddy's matchup, and you couldn't get on both this week. Otherwise, it would have been the easiest option to just back one into the other.
Yeah, 100%. And Gold Coast just showed a bit of fight today too, but I don't know. I can't be disappointed when I'm the Sea Eagles could put on 50 against the Tigers, and then the Tigers go and score 34 and win. I feel like I can't be disappointed in my choices. So if there's any silver lining to sit there and go that, it's like you don't Thursday night captain. You've probably got Joey Lussick or some blokes like that in your team. You just got to let it go, unfortunately.
Yeah, if you had the AE, you definitely would probably want a straight C more than anything. But the VC, maybe Karapani hurt a few people. Luckily, Jake Tungo, he came onto the bench as in the 18 jersey at the last minute with 1 hour to go for the Eels, and he didn't even make it onto the field, luckily. So that was a positive for owners there. They didn't cop that really shitty loop option.
I don't want to give a shout out to a company that doesn't sponsor us, but check out the old Powers with the Powers jersey.
Yeah, that's actually very well coordinated.
I only just realised that.
Didn't do it on purpose.
Did not do it on purpose. Just sitting here sinking pins. So.
Very impressive. Well done. Samuel Afini with an 86 in this one. Maybe rode the pine for a few people. But if you're kind of stuck at front row forward, it was a little bit of a blessing in disguise, wasn't it? Because, if you had Josh Curran and you had to sub in Samuel Afini at the last minute, potentially, not a bad play.
Yeah, and like pure junk. Did you see the try? I'm presuming you watch right to the end, being a West Tigers fan. But like, I actually forgot about the last try. That's how relevant it was, because I looked at this. I was like, oh, I thought it was 30-26, and now I just remembered why.
It was very junky, in the corner. But well played from Samuel Afinu. He was good, and obviously the Tigers have the bye next week. So none of these guys are going to help you next week. And I think, another conversation to have a little bit later will be, the possible restings coming up and what next week could look like. But I'm sure we'll cover that on Tuesday a fair bit more. Otherwise, mate, other notable scores here. Alex Seyfarth with an 82 and a try there. He's starting to get better and better every single week. So whilst I don't think he's going to be a buy next year, I should say, if he does fall in price enough at the start of the year, he could be tempting. Appy Coruscant with an 81 as well. So, you're an Appy owner. You'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely stoked. But like the whole play all year has been the fading Harry Grant. And I'd like to think that there's some people that know how he went this week. But look, Appy 81, he has been owned by me all year from start to finish. Won't change.
Yeah. Other than that, Lockie Galvin with a 47, a little bit disappointing. I played him over Burton this week, hoping that I was going to see something a little bit similar. Like, he averages 75 at Leichhardt this year, so that's the reason why I played him. But didn't really. He had his hands on the ball a lot, and I think that's the positive you can take from it, is that round 27 he's an absolute play. But you lose him next week, unfortunately.
Yeah, I sat him and I got the start sit right with Cam Munster's 47, so I'm stoked with that. Latu Finu 50. I tell you what, if he could find a way into a first grade role, he looked great in the limited minutes. That was after Caesar went off injured, I believe.
Yes, he is too good to be playing a bench role. He will be. He has to be starting somewhere next year. And whether that means Galvin moves to 13, I don't know whether you can move Galvin out of the halves at the moment. He's just been too good. And with Luai coming across, I think Latu Finu is going to have to earn it. But I think you will see Latu Finu in the halves at some point.
Are you really going to, like, if you're playing that massive ball playing, like Galvin's big enough, like, does he really, like, do you think of moving from 5'8" to number 13 as a downgrade? Like, is it just putting your best players on the park if John Bear doesn't come back?
That's pretty much locked in. He isn't coming back after he just fucking sprayed us on social media the last 2-3 weeks about culture. So he's not coming back. But look, I think obviously it's not a downgrade because he's getting his hands on the ball probably the same amount as what he does right now. But just in saying that, I think he would view it as a downgrade. I don't think he would want to play as a lock. But look, that's a next year conversation, not a conversation for now. Aside from that, mate, 158 for Turbo was great, but otherwise the next highest score, 61 from Garrick. He also only kicked 3 from 5. This game would have been a lot closer if they went 5 from 5 with conversions as well. So might have made it a bit tougher there, and maybe in their head they would have got the Tigers if they got a little bit closer at the end there.
Yeah, it was actually one of the ones that he missed was, I think I could have kicked it, but I probably could have kicked it 3 or 5 times. Let's just give it that. But look, I usually get excited when I see that I own the top 3 players from Manly. But yeah, with a 61 and a 58 from Holy Hamoli and Ruben Garrick, yeah, there's not too much to talk about except Sub deserves a little stint in Reggie's after that one.
Yeah, he had a shocker, didn't he? For Jason Saab, couple of absolute fucking dropped stone cold as well, like with no one in front of him. So yeah, tough for him. And DCE, mate, 41. Not the score that people were hoping they were going to get. Buying DCE is the most popular trade in this week. Bit of a backfire on those people.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, Luke Brooks loves Leichhardt. He scored his usual 37. So
yeah, he was good. To be fair, he was good. I listened to him. He was on the Matty John show this evening after the game's wrapped up and took the piss out of himself a little bit about being booed at Leichhardt and it's not the first time and all that kind of stuff. So you
true that.
But yeah, again, another mid score. But yeah, I think the halves or the halfback curse is still alive with no halfback scoring over, I think it's 53 or something like that in the last 2 years at Leichhardt, which is wild to think. So yeah, that lives on. But
Caesar had to get injured to get that to happen. So
yes, that's true. That is true. Hey, let's move into the first game on Friday night. We've got 34 for the Bulldogs, beating the Warriors 18. I actually thought that this would be the other way around. As bad as the Warriors have been in recent times and as good as the Bulldogs have been, the Bulldogs away record is actually 3-11 before this game. Like Sean Johnson's last game, they named the fucking stadium after him, and then they come out and they were good for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and then it just all fell to shit.
I just don't think they're good enough this year, and I think SJ knows that. That's why he's pulling the pin. He's letting the kids come through. He's not gonna get that contract, but mate, Matty Burton was great in this one. I just like when I see the Dogs score 34, and like it's the late end of the year. Everybody's teams are starting to look a bit similar. So if I gloss over Hayes and Sexton, forgive me. But yeah, look, Carraz, I just expect him to score a lot more when I see 34 points scored by the Bulldogs.
Yeah, absolutely. The ball didn't really get to him as much in this one, but Matt Burton just tore the edges to shreds, didn't he? He was quality in this one. Not really much else to say on him because I think, for the most part, most people have used all their trades, which makes shows like this and shows like TLT from like round 23, 24 onwards quite tough. Yeah. People are holding on to potentially one trade, maybe two trades max. So, but would you get Burton now? Because there's a chance Jerome Hughes is going to be rested next week along with the rest of the Storm decent assets. Could you go to Burton?
He's on my radar, and it's probably... I've got one trade left. I've got Nathan Cleary sitting there. I could trade out Appy Coruscant so I don't have to play Lussick. It's not set in stone, but I could play Matty Burton and just be confident that he's probably just going to score 70. I know they have St. George in the next couple of weeks, maybe even next week, which should be probably a little bit of a juicy play. Yeah, Jerome Hughes, obviously, the star. Manly's draw gets really hard. But, yeah, if Jerome sits, Matty Burton is sitting there with that halfback duel, and I think I'd love to own him.
Yeah, I've had him since, I think, round 19, 20. So that was a decent little buy for me. I'm pretty happy with that one. I think I ended up selling Dylan Brown for Matt Burton, and I did the math. I think I'm up like 140 points from Burton to Dylan Brown. So I'm pretty happy about that move in the end. But yeah, I like him as an option. There's no real massive standout matchup though for the Bulldogs. They're all playing kind of middle tiered teams that aren't terrible, but also aren't very good. So,
but the Dogs are good. Like the Dogs are great, and I think the Dogs could still push for that top four finish. I know they're one game behind the Sharks at the moment. Sharks played well today, but again, just playing St. George. I think the Bulldogs will take care of St. George next week as well. I think they're a real chance of pushing for that spot, even if, they have some teething issues if Nico comes back. Or, I just think the Dogs deserve to be a top four team as well.
I think you could probably call them a top four team this year. You look at the top four teams at the moment, they all deserve to be there, don't get me wrong, but like you could easily put the Sharks and the Bulldogs in the same kind of category this year for that fourth spot. So, Aside from that, for the Bulldogs, mate, not really much else going on. Carraz with a 53. Any other guys that are well owned? Max King had his first game back for a while with a 37. Josh Curran was ruled out late, unfortunately, but a lot of people I think ended up using him as a loop for turbo, so that worked out all right. This week was the week to sit Josh Addo-Carr. Strangely, I probably would have played him in this matchup, but only got a 36. But aside from that, yeah, the Bulldogs were carried by Burton, and then the next highest score was 69 by Harry Hayes. So,
yeah, let's head over to the Wars. And Adam Fanua-Blake, his last game at home playing for the Warriors as well. 77. You expect that when the Warriors score 18 points. Kurt Capewell again proves to be a pretty good signing, and you know what? When he was 300k, and I thought, oh, geez, Kurt Capewell's 300k. I probably should have got him. SJ 63 in his last game at home. But the one I want to talk about is Luke Metcalf. Just working his way back into it. He's 450k at the moment. He's going to drop another 50k, so he's going to be like 400k. I'm going to own him next year. He is a lock for day one for me.
You got to give him that hock too and spit on that thing. You get me?
I think that's what you'd be more than happy to do to Luke Metcalf for anybody who's watched all 25 rounds of this show, you would know how much Mattrix loves Luke Metcalf. And well deserved. Well deserved.
You know what? The Warriors were good when he played. Yeah. Can I say?
They were, and they turned to shit. Maybe that's the common denominator. Maybe Luke Metcalf is the saviour of the Warriors. But with SJ moving on next year, he's pretty much guaranteed a half spot with one of Chanel Harris-Tavita and Tamari Martin, you'd think?
Yeah, I think Luke Metcalf and Tamari Martin can work it out. Tamari Martin sort of playing that number 7 role really well when SJ wasn't there as well. Tamari Martin, I presume, stepping aside to give SJ his farewell tour at the moment. But yeah, if you can get Tamari Martin and Luke Metcalf, Tamari Martin in career best form, since that huge injury at least. I know that he had Rookie of the Year and stuff. We're talking years ago before he had his first retirement. Luke Metcalf and Tamari Martin heading into the Warriors, they're going to be a better force to deal with next year.
I'm a big Tamari Martin fan. For what he did, not just for the Warriors, but in Supercoach as well, and how well he scored in the 7, he could be a genuine option next year. I think the only issue will be his starting price.
He's going to be 700k.
Yeah, he's going to be a bit too expensive to start with. But I tell you what, if he drops in price, it'll be interesting. It's just, you can't really look at going, oh, will I pick Tamari Martin over Nathan Cleary or Nico Hines or, any of the other gun options? Probably not. But, and the fact he doesn't goal kick doesn't exactly bode well for him either. But shout out to Jazz Tavanga as well. He played his last home game for the Warriors before moving into – has he signed anywhere yet? Or is he –
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think he's signed at all.
I think he'll end up somewhere at one of those bottom 4 teams and give him a bit of experience and a bit of a boost in the middle, I think. So
we could use him at the Broncos at the moment. I'd take Jazz.
Absolutely. Tigers would take him too in a heartbeat, I'm sure. Mitchie Barnett, I felt this one. I bought him instead of AFB 3 weeks ago and punches out a 41, but he got moved to the edge before the game, or at the hour cut. So definitely a lot less work through there. I think he had 3 or 4 runs all game. So that's unfortunately what you get when you move to an edge.
100%. And we look at Dallin and C&K, my draft hero. When C&K's firing, my draft team goes really well because I've faded fullback when everybody takes them early, and I've got some really good stats. But yeah, disappointing. And you got to scroll down for the injured RTS who won't play next week as well. Actually, he's done for the year now, so.
He's done for the year with the Warriors bye in round 27. What are your thoughts on this? I know it's a bit contentious and there's a lot of opinions on the internet about the Stephen Crichton shoulder that knocked him out. Do you have an opinion on this?
Yep.
Do you want to tell it?
Oh, I think it's exactly the same as all the other ones that people got sent to the bin for. I also don't think there's a darling Bulldogs story or a darling Stephen Crichton story. I just think the ref got it wrong in the moment. And, the bunker in this case, because I know that they go upstairs for it. I just think the bunker got it wrong in this one. And I'd like to think that that's probably not a send to the bin, but I also think a lot of the other ones are. We're playing a contact sport. Look, we're going to have to start wearing helmets if they're not going to do this. If everybody's getting sent to the bin, if everybody's getting HI8 and we're playing 11 on 13 every second week, there's going to have to be something changed within our game, I think.
And I think the referees are trying to force that change with all the sin bins, to be fair. Like, I think they're trying to, make players adjust their tackling technique. And that's where it's coming to now, with players like Jared Warrior-Hargraves getting binned this today for leading with the shoulder. Like back in the day, 2, 3, 4 years ago, that was fine. You put a big hit on a guy and, if it cops him in the head, so you get...
You made the highlight package.
Yeah, exactly. And now, any sort of head contact is, you're off the field. So players are going to have to adjust because the referees won't. And I think that's probably the message they're trying to get across. My opinion is I feel like it was a little soft, but again, it was, that the only difference is I feel like Crichton didn't lead with the shoulder. I think like maybe he got jammed in and had his shoulder in line with his body. He wasn't going in trying to put a hit on. That's probably the only difference for me. And they talked about mitigating factors and all this other bullshit. Like at the end of the day, his shoulder hit him in the head. You got to bin him. So be it. That's just it. And he's been now referred to the judiciary, but RTS now missed the game. Didn't get to play the rest of the game, but Stephen Crichton stayed on the field. So that's a real fuck up there, I think, from the referees. But so be it. I think we're going to see more of this before it gets better. Unfortunately, I'm hoping that there's going to be some change in the off season that they come into next year with.
Yep. No, I am 100% in agreement with you.
All right, mate, let's talk about your Broncos getting a dub over the Eels. Hey, held on just. I tell you what, I was a Broncos fan for 80 minutes this week, hoping that the Eels would lose so that the Tigers can jump them into 16th, which we will do next week.
The Eels, I mean, I think the Broncos played better, but I also think the Eels are getting back to that better team as well. The Eels played a lot better than they have for, honestly, most of the year. And so did the Broncos, even with, Tristan Saylor was phenomenal in this one. Selwyn Cobbo, you know what? He had to rest a week for factors out of the game. But look, Renault steered everybody around. That side of Cobbo and Stags ripped them to shreds. The Eels scoring 16 points in 10 minutes to start the game. The Broncos of 3 weeks ago would have rolled over. So.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good to see a bit of resolve there. You're obviously playing for your season. The Eels aren't. They're playing for not coming last. So there's a little bit more to play for the Broncos. Somewhat. Some would agree. But Adam Reynolds, mate, he led the way, 122 Supercoach points. He ended up being the Nathan Cleary replacement after all. Wild.
He did, and he's only 400K.
That's fucked. The problem is, what are you going to do with all that extra cash? Like, you don't have enough trades to use it at this point. I know some people...
I could trade in Jerome Hughes and still have 500K at the end of the year, I reckon.
It's crazy. Some people have messaged me saying it just feels wrong to finish the year with 400K in the bank and I've got no trades left. But I even had someone say that they didn't even get to use all their boosts and they've run out of trades with one boost remaining.
Oh, so gross.
That hurts. Yeah, that hurts, yeah. But Reynolds was quality. He was quality and he potentially becomes an option next week if you want to get it really spicy and climb the rankings because the Broncos have another half-decent matchup next week.
Yeah, they're playing the Dolphins in the new and improved local derby now that Redcliffe is apparently geographically a little bit closer than the Gold Coast, I suppose.
Yeah, good. Well, it's better than the Gold Coast or North Queensland coming and calling it a derby. I think it's nice and close, like two Brisbane teams basically playing against each other.
Yeah, I mean, Cowboys versus Brisbane that's the pinnacle.
That's the Queensland derby, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
But, mate, other notable scores here, Tristan Saylor, he was good, replacing Reece Walsh. I think we'd probably see Reece Walsh back next week, as far as I'm aware. I think he should be back next week. So that's good there. Could be a little pod play for those of you that don't like Turbo's final 2 weeks, but there's no way in the world I'm trading Turbo out. I'll give you the red hot tip.
No.
So I mentioned Selwyn Cobbo on the Tuesday show as my pod of the week this week. So that played out okay, 88. He did all right. Nice little match up there against the Eels. Hopefully he can finish the year strong. But aside from that, mate, anybody else stick out? Xavier Willison with a 44. You own him?
Yeah. I own him. Basically said I expect him to score 50 for the rest of the year. I'm disappointed with the 44, but yeah, that's what you're going to get. But yeah, when I scroll over to the other team, where I got disappointed was in Dylan Brown's 40. When I see 24 points scored, I just expect more from the Eels. He had a lot of errors in him, but he did seem to have his hands on the ball and everything around there. Didn't have a choice but to play him this week, unfortunately. So
I actually didn't mind the matchup, to be honest. Like, Broncos are middle of the road. I think they're ninth. They concede the ninth most points to 5'8". So I just thought, like, it's not that bad. It's not that bad of a matchup. So I'm surprised he only scored 40. But, yeah, especially when the Eels score 24. That's probably one of the things. You know, that when you see 24 points, you think Dylan Brown's going to be involved in some of it. But, yeah, not much from him at all. Brendan Hands with the 47 makes people with Harry Grant feel a little bit better about next week potentially losing him, because you're going to have to play Harry Grant next week. So, yeah, you've got to make a decision there on whether you want to trade Hands out or trade Grant next week, trade Hughes. What would you do? Would you be happy to play Hands if you had him?
I've got the same problem, except I have to be happy to play Lussick.
Yeah, that's a problem, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd be fine with playing Hands. 40 in the hooker position. Yeah, completely fine. Go get yourself the best halfback you can get and run Harry Grant against these Broncos who just let in 47 points to Brendan Hands. Imagine how many Harry Grant's going to score in round 27.
It's a good point. It's a good point. And thanks to Mr. Callio for the $10, mate. Appreciate the donation. Who misses out on the top 8? So at the moment, we'll go through it. You got the Storm. They're locked into first. Panthers, Roosters, and Sharks should all be equal points. Then we've got who we got? The Bulldogs. This ladder hasn't updated, which is annoying.
Mine's updated.
Yeah.
So you've got Storm, Roosters, Sharks, Penrith. Yep. You've got Doggies into the Cowboys, into the Sea Eagles. As far as I can see, unless the Sea Eagles massively shit the bed and the Dragons win the last 2 weeks, Sea Eagles can only move to 8th. So honestly, you need the Dragons. But if the Dragons finish on the same points as one of the Knights, Raiders, Dolphins, or the Broncos, the Knights, Dolphins, and Broncos have way better for and against, 50 points better for and against, right? Mm-hmm. So I think the team that has the biggest chance of making the 8 out of those teams are the Broncos. But yeah, look, the Dragons have the Eels into the Dragons. They can win 2 games and be an absolute lock. They can lose 1 game and still be a big chance of still making it, even if the Raiders win their next couple. So the Broncos have the Storm and the Dolphins. The Dolphins have the Broncos and the Knights. So yeah, going back onto the Knights there. I don't think the Raiders can make it with that negative 131 break even.
Yeah. I'm assuming you meant the Dragons play the Raiders in round 27. They can't play themselves, but
okay.
Corey just taking the piss out of you in the chat. Blame him.
Oh yeah, thanks, mate.
But yeah, no, look, I think I tend to look at the for and against for the Dragons and say that if anyone's going to drop out, I mean, if the Dragons win their next one, I think they're solid. They're set. But the problem is if the Broncos are going to have to beat the Storm in round 27 to get through. And that's a pretty hard road to go through. If everything goes to plan and the Storm rest their guys next week.
Listen to me.
All right.
Knights. Titans into the Dolphins with a better 50 break even. A 50 point for and against better than the Dragons.
Yeah, look, if there's one
I think the Knights are probably a better chance than the Bronx now.
Yeah,
Titans
maybe
into the Dolphins.
Yeah, they're 2 nice matchups. But again, you've got to rely on the Dragons not losing. Basically,
they're just losing. They can lose 1.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, right.
No. If Dragons lose 1 and Knights win 2, they will be through.
Knights should get through. Yeah. So yeah, I think I probably tend to agree with you. I think if the Knights have 2 easy games coming up, they're probably the ones that jump in and Dragons drop out. But again, Broncos, it just depends on what Storm do with their rests in round 27, really, doesn't it? So that's probably the determining factor. But tough and lots of moving pieces this week, which makes it great for Supercoach from that perspective, because a lot of teams still have a lot to play for. You look at the Roosters, they've still got plenty to play for to lock down second. The Sharks and the Panthers now won't be resting anybody, obviously. Those three teams are playing for second, basically. So we'll get a better idea of what that looks like next week. But it's nice to think that coming into round 26, I'd like to think that Panthers, Roosters, and Sharks all come in at full strength.
Yep. Yeah, so, and they're going to want a home. I'd want a home game to start. Yeah, so, they're going to be doing the same. I think the Sharks are probably I think the Roosters are going to get a home qualifying, at least.
I mean, I think so. I think the Roosters, it's their position to lose. But I tell you what, the Panthers, if they lose one more and the Bulldogs win their last two, they drop to fifth and they end up in the bottom tier in a knockout prelim. And that is not a place you want to be. If the Bulldogs can knock the Panthers out and move into fourth and drop the Panthers down to fifth, holy fuck, that could be huge for the competition. Not great for whoever finishes in eighth, because you have to come up against the Panthers in week one, so that kind of sucks. But that it makes things interesting, that's for sure. But mate, we probably should get back to the Supercoach. Anything else on the Eels? No, we've pretty much covered them all, haven't we?
No. You'll never see Joe Offengowie score a 90 ever again. You've heard it here first.
Raiders 22 beat the Panthers 18. Upset of the round, you reckon?
Yeah, 100%. They were phenomenal.
They were fucking massive. That was insane. Like, they ruined my multi, by the way. We're going to punt this club because we're going to the Gold Coast. And you'd know. Yeah, everybody else is ripping into me because I took the Panthers to win against the Raiders. It was paying like $1.32, and it was the only league that didn't get up. So shout out to them. But look, first of all, Joey Tarpany, man, he was the answer all along, really, wasn't he?
Yep. Yeah, it looks fantastic there. 98, the only Raider I've owned since Ethan Strange. And look, the minutes, the offloads, everything's just been there for the Raiders. Even when the Raiders go bad, Joey Tarpany scores a 60. And that's what I want in a front row forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and there was like minimal attack there. No, like pretty much no attack. Most of it was in base. So, fantastic. Fantastic from Joey Tarpany. If you're an owner, you'll be a very happy one. Or RJ in the chat ripping into me about never wearing my Tigers jersey. Must have missed a few episodes at the start of the year, RJ. So it's all right. I've got about 6 or 7 different jerseys that are in rotation at the moment, so maybe I'll change it up a little bit for you. Xavier Savage scored as well. He was good. Scored an 80. Hudson Young with a 62. Tim McCoy with a 62. Other than that, no one else any Supercoach relevance in this one. Corey Horsburgh, though, the big horse, he's back, which is nice to see him wearing a lime green jersey again.
Yeah, honestly, like I just wish that he got a few more 32s. So when he goes to a new club next year, he's not priced at 500K because he's 633 at the moment. But I have no idea how this guy hasn't got a run this year.
I think there's something going on there in the background, I reckon.
Has to be.
And there was also some disciplinary stuff, I think. Like he got binned and suspended in reserve grade and all sorts of shit a couple of times this year.
Did you see the hit, though?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was good.
Doesn't miss.
No, he did not miss, that's for sure. But yeah, he'll likely be at another club. I think there's been a few clubs talking to him. Interesting to see where he ends up next year, but it won't be at Canberra. For the Panthers, mate, Isaiah Yeo with 102. Like this guy always slides under the radar as a guy that not really many people pick up, and he delivers every single week. Like when do we get to a point where we just have to pick Isaiah Yeo from week 1 and just let him score 75 for the year?
You know what? He's actually at the price that I'm fantastic with owning him. When he's 700K, I just think I've just paid 700K for, 70 every week. But he was 600K, and we all didn't have trades left. But yeah, he was the answer, and cooked me in my $100 NRL fantasy competition. So yeah, shout out to Big Shawnee Morris, ripping me to shreds with the Isaiah Yeo captain this week.
Yeah, that's he's a lock and load for fantasy every year. Supercoach is a little bit more like attacking stat reliant, but Isaiah Yeo is one of the best options in fantasy every year. So Yeah, good play. Dane Laurie with a 97 could have been much more. I think he, probably butchered a couple of tries there on the right wing, but and the commentators ripping into him saying that he's not a winger. He did okay. He did all right for a guy who played fullback for the most of his career in 5'8".
Was Savage running at him?
Savage on the left? No, Savage was on the right wing.
Cool.
Who was on the left wing then? Hopewadi?
Yeah, Hopper.
James Fisher-Harris with an 85. Quality from him. Summerton as well. You had a little joke that went over everyone's head on X about Luke Summerton.
Honestly, I just don't get Twitter. I say all these hilarious things. It gets no reach. And then, I'll go post a sauce bottle and get, 50-something thousand comments. But I put up a picture of Sonny Luke and I just go, this Luke Summerton kid's great. Nobody gets it. So anyway, I'll just let...
Too smart.
I'm done.
You're too smart. Too smart for Twitter. Too smart for social media. But yeah, back to Supercoach. Dylan Edwards with a 56. Look, I actually thought that he'd score better this week, especially with the goal kicking, but unfortunately not to be. Isaac Tungo with a 53. Again, solid. Brian To'o, though, catching a cold. I've heard he's got the flu out there on the left wing. Absolutely no ball whatsoever. 47 in pure base. And I would have expected him to score a little bit better. So, let's hope that he can finish the year strong for the Panthers, because he's going to have to play his best footy to make sure that they stay in that top 4 now. Other than that, though, guys, not really much else happening for the Panthers. Casey McLean with the 21. He looked like he really couldn't get himself injected into the game. So, again, not a bad option, and definitely not a guy I'd be punting. But I think there is rumour now that Paul Alamotti is going to potentially be back next week. So if Alamotti's back in the team, it means that McLean will drop out. So for those of you with all of these AEs as well, I think maybe we're going to need that number. So we might be in a little bit of a trouble, because I went with Casey McLean as well last week. When did I get him? 4 weeks ago, I think I got him. And he's been solid, but I think we're going to be missing him next week if Alamotti's in, which makes it even harder to fill a 17 next week, Matty.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think Alamotti's better than McLean?
Yeah, probably.
I think as a centre, yeah. So, yeah, he probably just gets his spot back.
Mate, we didn't talk about Jerome Luai. 24.
Oh, sorry, I just got to scroll down.
Yeah, all the way to the bottom. Yeah, I didn't hate the option, but I just, with Brad Schneider in the team, there was too many question marks for me to go down that road. I
called you on Friday, I think, and I just said my gut's telling me to get Luai. And then and it's like, who are you going to sit? And I'm like, I'll just leave Cleary sitting there for a week. Gee, I'm glad I did.
Yes, very good play to leave him, let him through to the keeper. So DCE and Jerome Luai basically not providing much this week, unfortunately. But aside from that, guys, that is basically the first 4 games. And the show, of course, is brought to you by the Standard Squeeze, helping you drink responsibly and conveniently. I got my 4-in-1. Got a cup of tea tonight, being a good boy, because I've got to catch a fucking 6 a.m. flight. I have to travel for work this week, and I'm going to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to be straight to bed after this podcast is done. So you can upload the audio.
Yeah, you talk about the 6 a.m. flight, but how good's a 5 a.m. scooey at the airport before a day's worth of work? I tell you what.
Yes.
Sorry.
Maybe in your industry.
Sorry, I hope his boss doesn't listen. Yeah, he just said he's going to have a caramel latte at the airport.
Yes.
So.
No. When you work in the fitness industry, beers are frowned upon at 5 a.m. in the morning. So, can't rock up to a gym, unfortunately.
It's a no for me, dog.
Yeah.
That's why I don't go.
Yes, but back to the Standard Squeeze, guys. We've got a coupon code. It's IFS15 to get yourself 15% off everything in their store. You can get yourself a 4-in-1, which is this little bad boy here. Comes in a few different colors, keeps your drinks nice or keeps your coffees nice and warm, and your teas or whatever it is. And as you can see there, Mattrix's beer is ice cold at the moment, but it also
acts so cold in there.
Yeah, and it keeps your drinks nice and cold. You can chuck some ice in it and have a bit of whiskey.
Yeah, you just slip that in if you need a little sippy cup. It's got everything.
It does. It does have everything. And the combo packs as well, they've got them there to give you the perfect pour every single time. So IFS15 is the code. Thestandardsqueeze.com is the website. Do yourself a favor. Father's Day's coming up too. Maybe just put the order in with the wife. Just go, hey, check this Standard Squeeze place out. Here's a code. I'll get you 15% off. Grab me a few of these for Father's Day. Happy days. Imagine just
I'm
cracking a
actually
tin in the backyard, having a barbecue. You got your standard squeeze and you got your stubby. Rock and roll.
I'm actually thinking getting the old boy one of these too. So I might get him one for. Might get Ian one of those for Father's Day.
Yeah, do it. Ian would really appreciate that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But mate, let's move on to the rest of the games. Hey, Storm 48, Dolphins 6, Hughes, Grant, Pappenhausen, all delivering. 132 for Hughes, 129 for Grant, 108 for Pappy, 85 for Eli Katoa. What a time to be alive.
I'd like to report a murder because I tell you what, there is dolphins just laying on the beaches of Melbourne everywhere because this was as bad of a loss, I think, as I'd seen. Especially from like a Dolphins that, you know what, they win this, they tie with the if they win this one, and like we did not expect them to beat the Storm, but we expected them to be maybe in the mix if they're this top 8 team that everybody kept ragging on about all year.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not there.
No, not even close now. I mean, we talked a lot about the Finns and how they. I mean, you're a bit more aggressive than I am, but you called them pretenders, I guess, at the start of the year when they were in 4th, about halfway through the year. You were pretty heavy on the fact that they were pretenders, and it's starting to reign pretty true now, isn't it?
I mean, the worst thing about what we do is, and we've had our schedule shows during the year. We had one at the start, preseason, and we had one at halftime. You just could see what Volandis was doing. They were giving the Dolphins all the early matchups. The last game they had against the Storm and Panthers were the games after Origin, in case there was a chance of resting them. Like, they've done everything to get these darling Dolphins into the top 8, and yeah, they just couldn't capitalize.
No, not at all. But look, these 4 guys, I know Pappenhausen was the least owned out of all 4 of them, but they all delivered. So very, very solid. Papaya Sandwich is in the chat. Very interesting chat as well.
Do you want me to explain what a papaya sandwich is?
Go on.
So papaya is the color of the McLaren, that orange. So Max Verstappen, I was tweeting about it. Max Verstappen is in the middle of a papaya sandwich because you've got Lando Norris in 1 and Oscar Piastri in 3.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. I don't follow at all.
Papaya sandwich, bro.
Yeah,
get
cool.
on it.
Papaya sandwich. Yeah, get on the papaya sandwiches. Adam S. also has an ice cold 4-in-1 and a beer as well with his papaya sandwich. So there you go.
Oh, we love it. I actually changed my name to the F1 Mattrix on Formula One nights, and it gets to about 11 o'clock, and there's about 20 people just all tweeting to me, about Formula One. It's great.
Yeah, man. Very good. I might have to try and start following it then. And you're right, Deadly. I couldn't give less of a fuck. I follow way too many sports to fucking keep up with stuff like that I'm not interested in. I'll tell you what, though. For those of you that play FPL, I tried to watch a game of soccer last night. Holy fuck, it was boring. We put it in the chat. I tried to watch the first half of Man United last night. And I'm like, I'll just watch it because I'm invested in my FPL team. I want to try and do good. And I put in the chat, I'm like, how do people watch this fucking sport? Like, how? There was 456 passes in the first half, 2 shots on goal. Like, how is that good? I don't understand. Anyway.
I mean, there's... FPL is fantasy done right, can I say? I cannot... As somebody that's had a little bit of a dig, I just couldn't pay the subscription and watch it. I am a Wolverhampton boy. I will watch the odd game if I've got a sick kid or something in the middle of the night. But yeah, look, I do struggle with it. And like Formula One is 70 laps of racing too. It's probably an acquired taste, but yeah, look, I'm getting into my Formula One fantasy. So yeah, slide into our DMs, get into our Patreon, our Discord, and I'll let you know what my team looks like.
Yeah, good. F1 sounds very similar to soccer, where there's just a whole lot of fuck all going on. So I might leave that to you. You can have that one.
There's a lot of drama.
Yeah, good. All right. Anything else, mate, in this one? Like, we're not talking about any Finns at all, really, are we? Like, you're not looking at any Dolphins players to buy. not really any relevant in this one because they got smoked.
Yeah, well, they could only, massage the draw so much, and then the draw gets bad and everybody scores shit. So when we looked at the last 7 weeks, we saw this coming, which is why I suppose from round 15 to 22, we'd got rid of most of our Dolphins. And I started the year with Hammer, but yeah, there was just never a chance to finish with him because of this exact reason.
Yeah, look, we'll talk about them again next year when their draw opens up a little bit. There's some, don't get me wrong, some good options.
And this is fantastic for Supercoach, really, because all their players are dropping in price just to queue up for next year.
Yep, spot on. It's that time of the year where we start looking at players underperforming that we're already thinking about buying next year. So, yes, definitely good for Supercoach, mate. Rabbitohs, they got beaten by 20 against the Knights. 36-16 was the final score. Dane Gagai and Jack Cogger. Now I kind of liked Dane Gagai at the start of this week. We had a few questions in the Discord about Dane Gagai from Unlimited members, and pretty big fan of him running at that left edge of the Rabbitohs. But Jack Cogger, 120, wouldn't have seen that coming.
I mean, Adam Reynolds at 400k and Jack Cogger at 300k were the Cleary replacements.
Yeah, crazy, isn't it? Cogger was the replacement that we all should have got. But Dane Gagai was fantastic.
Yeah, and it was a good matchup. The Bunnies have been pretty ordinary, and you'd be happy with Kalen Ponga if you couldn't afford one of Turbo and Teddy earlier on. They're both like astronomical prices. So yeah, if you got on Kalen at 650k a few weeks ago, you're not going to be spitting at 97 either.
No way, no. I mean, there are a few people that are a bit disappointed with his captaincy, and like when you have to compare him to Teddy and Turbo, sure, you might be a little bit disappointed, but he was still the next best option, and I don't think he can be upset with that. He'll score well the last 2 rounds as well because Knights have plenty to play for, like we were talking about earlier. So I think he's going to play a really big part in the final fortnight.
Knights have plenty to play for, and Kalen Ponga is 9 times out of 10 when he steps on the field, the best player on the footy field. So yeah, he's gonna be getting the ball. Yeah, and he did. He got his hands on everything, and didn't take a step back against the Bunnies. What
are we doing with Greg Margie, mate? Because he got 38. I tipped him to score well this week, and I played him, and he scored like a busted. I'm a little bit worried because that ball just is not getting to him at all.
I mean, we're 3 weeks from the end of the season, so you're probably not trading him out, but I would not be playing him for the rest of the year. Yeah, I'm sitting him. He's in the Dallin Watene-Zelezniak bin.
Ooh, that's a very notorious bin as well because there's only Dallin and probably another couple, maybe 2 players, I reckon, all year that have made it into that bin.
Yeah, no. Greg's in the Dallin bin now, and you just can't play him because there's blokes that will get you 50 when they're not getting that involved. Greg Marju will get you a 20 when he's not getting involved. And what's he had? 1, maybe 100 all year? Not for 500k. So. Get rid of him.
Yeah, 523. Not good. 74. I mean, his highest score is 86. He got 116 against Para, so he fucking should in round 17. But aside from that, that's his only 100 all year for a guy who was the centre wing 1, I think, last year. That's definitely, a bit of a fall from grace. So, yeah, bit of a shame. But anyway, you can choose to sit him now because hopefully our teams are strong enough.
I just, Mr. Callio said the update to come in, and he said Teddy 130, and I just did a little this. And then he went Eero down, and I was just like,
oh, that's nice. That's really nice. I've been just watching Eero destroy me for weeks. And look, Eero down probably means Eero down 5 points. He still fucking killed me.
Yeah, he's an absolute hero out there. But when we have a look at the Rabbitohs, look, Tane Milne. Tane Milne does get brought up a bit more than I would probably expect. He does go on these games, but I've never owned him for Supercoach. Probably never will. Cam Murray 73, and then you go to a Whiten 66, and Dean Hawkins was not that impressive, and Jai Gray will probably lose his spot going into next year as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, Jai Gray's been fantastic, and at a lot of other clubs he'd find himself at the back, but it's very interesting to see what's happening with Latrell Mitchell. I think he's been fined $25K or something like that by the NRL, and
Yep.
a lot of other shit going on in the background. So, definitely not good for Latrell, but hopefully in the off-season he gets himself right and he comes back ready to go next year because, the game's better with him in it.
You know what? And like talking about South's fullbacks, like Jai Gray just hasn't got a sniff of that line this year. Like I really expected him to score a bit more often, and just didn't get it. Not like Latrell, he just scores points.
Yes, I'm gonna pass on that comment. Ben Hunt looks like Josh is very happy with Ben Hunt, gone up to 50 points. So, better than Jerome Luai and better than DCE. So, Ben Hunt really wasn't that bad of an option in comparison to the two most purchased. So, well done. Appreciation comment from Corey here. Played Tupou and Iro over Marju thanks to Brain's advice and purchased Tupou on Mattrix's advice over Mariner. So, we gotcha. We do get stuff right every now and again.
Yeah, he goes, I'm going to message the guy that watches the most Broncos games of anyone. Should I get Dean Mariner? No.
Yeah. Anytime I want any advice on why I shouldn't purchase a Broncos player, I'll go to you. If I'm trying to bring one in, I'm not asking you at all because you're so anti-Broncos Supercoach.
Oh, I can't. Like, I mean, if they're at my funeral, they can drop me down so that they can only let me down one more time. So.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Mate, anything is to mention here? Rabbitohs, Cam Murray was good, but and Jack Whiten's good. Shout out to Josh who called Jack Whiten out as a bit of an option maybe like 8 weeks ago. He's been really solid to finish the year.
Yep. As soon as he started moving into that role in the middle, hey.
Yeah, as soon as he kind of took over the 5'8" position at the Rabbitohs and Cody moved to the halves, I think he took off. So solid.
But like he moved to Souths because he didn't want to play in the halves and finds himself in the halves. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, look, at the end of the day, you get the ball more, you do more with it. So Jack Whiten's good enough to make the most of those touches, those receipts. But yeah, Cam Murray was solid. A guy that if I had the trades and I wasn't set at 2RF, I would have bought maybe 3-4 weeks ago when he came back from that suspension after Origin. So hopefully someone got on because I think we had him as a buy, one of the buys of the week that week. So hopefully people jumped on there, mate. But let's move on to today's games because it sounds like there's some updates in and I'm hoping it's updated on my screen. It hasn't. Let me just refresh it very quickly. Looks like Teddy's up to 100. Angus up to 133 as well, which is very nice for owners. Here we go. 132 for Gus, 130 for Teddy, 124 for Tupou, 118 for Satili Tupanua, who just burnt people down the left wing. Get the man on the left. Get the man on the right wing at the Bulldogs next year. I'll tell you that.
Honestly, why has he never been in the centres before? He's a revelation in the centres.
He's been very good, hasn't he?
He's like a kick out in the centres.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about a kick out. He's starting to get a bit too excited now, I think. But he's been solid. He's been solid, that's for sure. But he is off the Bulldogs next year. They'll be happy they've picked up another guy who can play 7 positions. So congratulations to the Dogs. Gus Crichton, how fucking good was he? I tell you what, the shaved head. That's what it is. As soon as you shave your head, you just turn into a Supercoach god. And even though Gus has already been amazing, probably the best 2RF this year, it's clear now, night and day, between Gus and the rest of everybody else in that position.
Yeah, 100%. Like, Gus is just somebody that I'm going to have to get week 1 next year. That's just the long and short of it.
You're going to pay $850 to get Gus next year?
Probably. I'm not going to be paying it for David Fafita.
Yeah, no, not for Fafita. Fuck, hasn't his fall off? Josh in the chat said, do we need to study Jack de Bellin's fall off? How about David Fafita's? Like,
as soon as he signed the contract, I tell you what, if you can tell me anything about a player, they sign a contract and then they drop off. And we legit have numbers on a page when we're playing Supercoach. And yeah, I mean, 42 when you're getting pumped by 25, then yeah, sure, talk me out of it. But I mean, we paid $800K for the best second row forward in the game. And yeah, he was in Roosters colours this game.
He played on the right side as well, so he was running at Gus for most of the game. Pretty tough assignment, really, no matter how good you are as Fafita. Like, when you've got Gus marking you, it's pretty tricky. So, Interesting as to why they moved Fafita to the right, maybe to be on Foran's hip, because he was kind of being starved outside Jaden Campbell for a few weeks there. But then Fermor scored a try this week and looked awesome on the left edge. So maybe that's his preferred position. I don't know.
I can't work it out, but the Titans have too many players and a lot of problems. If anyone can solve them, it's Desi Hasler. But yeah, look, David Fafita could. And I say that I won't own him, but that was in jest. I won't own him at 800k. But he'll be down to 650 next week. If Titans keep floundering, he's somebody that we can start to look at when it comes into next year. But yeah, I don't want to take anything away from the Roosters. The Roosters are the second best team in the comp, and they're also probably the team that destroys teams the most, which is why we own so many of these guys. And if you had a look at, usually the high scorer of the week has the has the logo at the start of our episode. Over the last 2 years, I reckon Roosters have been, what have we done? 54 weeks, times it by 2. Say you've done 120-something episodes, and I reckon Roosters have been on the front cover 40 times.
Yeah, 100%, because you look at their team, a lot of Supercoach-friendly players, and there's no coincidence as to why they keep putting up fucking 30, 34, 40, 50 points every single week. They're the best attacking team in the comp. They've scored the most points in the comp this year. So there's no coincidence at all. Back to Gus, you could pick him up at 409k at the start of the year. By the season, has to be, hasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to... I don't get excited over the Angus Crichton buy because everybody did it at the same time. I get excited when I can jump on a guy. If you jumped on Connor Watson at that price earlier on in the year,
yeah,
I consider that a phenomenal buy because he's still relatively low owned. Everybody seemed to jump on him, which is great, but I'm still disappointed in Sam Walker, 68 with 1,000 goal kicks and a try.
Yeah, I'm going to take the points and run. And I think with the matchups that he's got coming up, I'm really just hoping that we get that as a flaw. He got a little bit lucky, I think, with that try. He could have probably even scored 35-40 without that try, which is just a little bit scary. Do we need to give Josh a shout out for Connor Watson?
No, I was looking for the delete comment and put user in timeout.
Yeah, no, we can't do that to him. But no, Josh did say Connor Watson was a good buy.
But didn't buy it himself. So, if he doesn't go and buy him himself, I say lots of people are good buys.
Yeah, that's fair. David Fafita averages 80.4 this season. It'll drop under 80 now, but normally prices are based on the season average. So just because he drops price now doesn't mean that we're going to pick him up cheaper next year. Yep. Unfortunately, you'll probably still be around that 800k mark, which sucks. But anyway, that's just an easy fade for me for the start of the season then. But yeah, look, if you lined up and had 4, 5, 6 Roosters in this game because of the matchup, you were probably right to do so. The obvious options in Gus and Teddy, very popular captain option. Sam Walker, 68, that's fine. But then we have to scroll down the bottom matrix and see Joey Manu, 40, Dom Young, 35. Be a little bit of a kick in the nuts.
Yeah, it's a kick in the ball sack. I've got Joey Manu and Dom Young, and I needed them to outscore Jacob Little and Sam Stonestreet to win big. I'm not a rich man. Big cash comps, comps where you can take $500 home and everything like that. And just when you see 48 points scored, the way that Dom Young's been, when you see his average of 84 and, Joey Manu an average of 64 with some injuries and stuff in there. Yeah, I thought I was an absolute shoe-in. But yeah, Jacob Little and Sam Stonestreet ripped me to shreds when the Roosters scored 48 points.
Yep. Remember when Terrell May was good for Supercoach? Those were the days. That was a good time. 24 for him. His time in the sun is over for this year.
I was watching this with my brother, and he was up against Terrell May in one of his cash leagues, and he goes, has he just not made it onto the field? We do have to remember, if you are holding him, that Jared got sent to the sin bin. So Terrell May, when you're playing one player short, you play like, those blokes that are a bit more mobile and everything than Terrell May bashing it down the middle when you've got 12. If you have a look at his really low scores, it's usually when somebody, Jared Warrior-Hargraves, because he gets sent to the sin bin every week, goes to the sin bin or somebody gets sent off or anything like this. Still not panic stations. Like, his points per minute are still phenomenal. But yeah, you're going to play somebody like a Spencer Leniu or any of these other more mobile guys over Terrell May.
And even then, like, Jared Warrior-Hargraves just missed 3 weeks from suspension anyway, didn't he, or 4 weeks or whatever, and Terrell May didn't get really a bump in minutes or anything anyway. So I think that Robbo's just kind of using him sparingly at the moment. There really isn't there isn't many minutes going around for him, unfortunately. So if you do have him and you're hoping to use him as a playable option, look, if you need him, great, that's fine. But don't expect those 50-plus scores from him anymore. Unfortunately, the minutes just aren't there. Mate, let's move on to the last game of the week. Sharks 38, Dragons 10. Points galore. For popular options, Kale Iro actually got a significant downgrade. I think he's gone from like 110 down to 91. So they've taken something massive off him. Britton Nickera with a 98. Ramian with a 92. All fantastic scores. I see Zach Lomax here with a 73, and I have to check my cash comp because I'm in a competition where Lomax needed to score like 76 to beat me in a head-to-head.
I just got updated 55 points in that last update. So that's fantastic, guys. But yeah, look, Zach Lomax, I was looking at his score thinking that it did look a touch rough. Don't worry, I still lost every single cash league that I'm in. So that's fantastic. But yeah, did you win your league, mate?
I did by 15 points so far. We'll see what happens in the morning. But yeah, 15.35 I finished on.
Oh, that's updates done. So you're right.
Yeah, hopefully. I've seen some updates, some really random updates a little bit later. But anyway, we'll see. Well, I won't count my chickens until I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, ready for my flight and have a look. Mate, this game was a bit of a blowout in the end. It just shows that the Sharks are ready to play finals football. Like, there's a few teams in this top 8 that you go, yeah, they're fading fast. The Sharks are fucking rock solid and also have Nico to come back in the next couple of weeks as well. So positive signs for them. They also didn't have Sione Katoa, who was out with a HIA, so they weren't even full strength in this one.
Yeah, watching these Sharks team, again, like, I don't really consider the Dragons a fantastic top 8 team, and they took care of business, but the Sharks have been probably playing the best footy they can without their best player, and to be up there above the Panthers, I'd be excited as a Sharks fan. I'm just starting to think that it's a 1 or 2 horse race for the premiership for this one. Whereas some other years, I do think Sharks could nearly win it. I just don't know if Nico's up to it. We've seen him play big games, and yeah, look, congratulations, you pumped the Dragons by 30.
Yeah, look, I mean, the Sharks were playing poor footy with Nico back in the side as well. Like, it just wasn't happening. Him and Trindle were kind of clashing a little bit, and there really was. They weren't playing good footy. And it's weird since Nico hasn't played. And also they went on like a 4-win streak when Nico was out during that Origin period too. So, it's no coincidence that they've started playing better footy when they start playing as a team instead of just relying on Nico every week. But, I mean, fuck, you have to bring him back in at the 7. Like, you can't just use him in a different position. I'll tell you what I'd love is if they played him at fullback and just punted Will Kennedy, who's just a waste of space. Put Nico at fullback and just leave Atkinson and Trindle to play in the halves because they've both been awesome.
Yeah, Nico's phenomenal fullback, really. They've just tried to put him in the best position to get his hands on the ball, I suppose. But yeah, I rate it. It's not going to happen. Basically, one of these guys are going to drop out.
Atkinson drops out, Trindle back to 6. It's just the way that they're going to go, and they'll get knocked out in the first or second round of the finals.
Yep.
Which is sad.
Sure.
But Supercoach-wise, mate, anything else to touch on this one?
Honestly, yeah, excited to be a Nickera owner. Yeah, congratulations to people who held Aero through thick and thin. Lomax, 73 when you get pumped by 30. Best winger in the game. Wants to play centre.
Yeah, I think to be fair, I think Lomax is a top 3 centre wing. Like in the competition, I think he's going to be pretty well owned next year, depending on his starting price. But yeah, it's otherwise there's really not much to be excited about with the Dragons. Just just hanging on to that 8th spot in a lot of danger to drop that if they lose their last couple of games.
Yep. No, I'm with you, man, and I don't want to talk about the Dragons anymore. I've owned Zach Lomax might be the only player I've owned for the Dragons for the last 3 years in Supercoach. Not even joking. That's not a joke. That's just real.
No, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. Mate, let's cover off some questions before we wrap this one up, hey? Ange, do you think Sharks rest in round 27 if they beat the Warriors this week and then Manly beat the Dogs? That would leave them clear top 4 then?
No, because then I think they're going to be gunning for 3rd, so...
Yeah, it's hard because 2nd, 3rd and 4th are all on the same amount of points. So, if they win, they go to 2nd. But then if they drop one, they can then get knocked out because then you're relying on Penrith to drop one as well as the Roosters. It's a tricky at the top.
Yeah, and if they win, they can go for 2nd and they're still fighting for that home. I just don't think anyone in that pack will be resting players now, which is great for Supercoach.
For sure. Melbourne Storm are pretty much the only team locked in and clear at the moment to rest players, which, becomes a bit tricky. But Sarge Beer 365, talking about NBL Supercoach, mate, which you've got started.
Yep.
Good question for you.
Mate, you should have Lockie Ulbrich and Marcus Lee. Fantastic. You absolutely should be. But you should play Lockie Ulbrich at forward. Illawarra probably doesn't have the best draw to start the year. I know I have gone super primo. I've gone Marcus Lee, and I think you had the same centers as me. Who have you got at center? Yeah, Matt Hurt. I'm just super excited about Matt Hurt as well. And especially the draw for him. But yeah, Marcus Lee, absolutely. You should have Lockie Ulbrich, but forward center eligible. Just abuse those double positions. You can only have 2 centers. Get Lockie Ulbrich in your forwards. You've probably got somebody you can move around or just drop.
For sure. Do you want to quickly touch on a little bit of what's happening with NBL Supercoach moving forward? Because there's about 4 weeks to the comp.
Yeah, there's 4 weeks to the comp. We're starting to have some preseason games. I watched the Shanghai Sharks play the Bullets the other night, and got some big takes, especially in that center position as well. But Hammer and I are going to do a show probably Wednesday, doing a bit of a review show of some of those games that have went on and what we've learned, and then we're going to go into the the team previews. They're probably going to be 10, 15 minutes. We want to try. I know Braino and I in NRL have talked a little bit more about this short form content. We're going to trial it with NBL, and then into the season, we're going to do a couple lives. It's all me and Hammer. We've had people starting to join our Patreon, which we can give you, I suppose, that personal support. Hammer's finished top 25 before. I finished 300th last year. Look, we know our shit. We're basketball players ourselves. Get involved.
For sure. Looking forward to playing another format of Supercoach. When you play, 27 rounds of NRL, it gets stale a little bit towards the end when you've got nothing to play for. So, it'll be nice to create a fresh team and have a red-hot crack. And for those in the World Cup, mate, it's, you've got to look after your rank all year round, don't you?
It and BBL are probably the hardest for the World Cup. They're the easiest games to play, probably due to being a 20-week and an 8-week season. But can you imagine if NRL had double game weeks?
NRL becomes hard enough because you've got 25 players and there's enough options on the field, I think, for you to have a different team and have a multitude of different tactics. So I think doubles would fuck it a little bit for me. I think because you've only got 10 players on the field for NBL, it makes it a little bit easier to create a bit of, a bit of a gap between the competition, I guess.
Yep.
Mate, let's tackle these last couple of questions. Michael Finch, will Tamari Martin hold his 5'8" dual next year? Oh, look, your guess is as good as ours, really, but the fact he's played enough 5'8" this year with SJ in the 7 makes me think that he will hold it. I mean, there were some wild duels this year to start the season.
And he's been a 5'8" for what, 3 years now?
Yeah.
I don't think he would lose it just this year. The following year, 100%. But yeah, he was basically, when they go in and they say that he was playing halfback because of an injury, he's a 5'8". That rolls into round 1, in my opinion. And then after that, yeah, he's gone. He spent the year being named at the number 7.
Yeah, agreed. The only problem is if there's like rock solid thoughts that he's the 7 and he's locked in the 7 and that's where the news is. Supercoach have sometimes leaned into, well, that's where he's going to play this year. Like Nico Hines not having the fullback duel when he came across to play half for the Sharks and just shit like that. You know what I mean? So let's see what happens next year. But I'd be pretty confident in saying that he holds it for this year. For next year, sorry. Haggy, what about Carrigan as a Pod 2 RF?
Yeah, again, the same as Yo. Like, you're going to pay, I don't even know what he is at the moment. You're going to pay for exactly what you get, which is the way that I play draft. But yeah, get him. The problem, I think, with getting a Carrigan is he's not going to win you the comp.
He got 80 odd this week, which is fine. But yeah, he's not going to score you that 120 and win you a head-to-head grand final. He'll just be that solid player. And if you can find fucking 15 or 16 Pat Carrigans, great. You pick him. But he's only he'll be 620K next week, which is still super cheap for him. So don't mind him. I would rather look for a bit more of an upside option personally.
Yeah, and did he get a bit of a bump in minutes? Honestly, because we needed to win, yes, and he did a lot of dirty work with Haas out as well.
Yeah, Corey Jensen and Carrigan made 96 tackles between them this week. So yeah, that tells you enough. Deadly Matty Hamilton P12. Where does he finish?
Oh, give me one sec, because I think I saw when I saw the poll, and I just need it in front of me. I thought at least he's going to get to that 8th. Just having a look. I think he'll get above Albon, Stroll, Gasly. I think Sainz will move up, and yeah, 7th or 8th, because I think Carlos will move up as well. When you start to see that top 6, I don't think they're going anywhere. And I think Alonso is good enough to hold on to a spot. But yeah, if they're getting peppered with Sainz and Hamilton, Alonso might let it go. But yeah, I think the top 6, unless Perez fucks up, is almost set in stone for this one.
Cool. Still don't care, but that sounds fun. Corey A is every chance of winning the squeeze of the week this week, but he's going to have to wait until Tuesday to find out whether he wins or not, right? So, yeah, but that is huge, 1665. I'd be very surprised if anyone beat him at that score. So very well played this week, Corey. Massive week. Now, mate, you've got Tuesday TLT. I'm going to be away for work. So, but is Josh home at the moment? I think he might be back, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I know he bought a PS5, so I don't know if he'll be on the pod. But
cool, good call. But you will.
But yeah, no, I'll be around on Tuesday. NBL later on in the week. NRL as per usual, 8:30 TL. Oh, actually, depending when I've got basketball. Yeah, TLT will happen on Tuesday, so stay posted. I'll post that during the day. But yeah, I'll handle it while you're away, man. And yeah, you'll cover while I'm doing NBL as well.
Yep, that's it. Not long to go, guys. We've only got 2 more rounds left. 26, we've got head-to-head grand finals coming up next week. And then for those of you very invested in your overall rank, 1 more week after that of carnage and restings and injuries and fucking God knows what else. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun little fortnight to finish things off. But thanks for hanging around. Thanks for watching the Sunday wrap-up, guys. That'll do us for tonight. Matty will be back on Tuesday. I'll answer the Q&A for the Unlimited members inside the Discord this week. I won't be able to get onto a podcast because I'm away, but I will be in the chat on Tuesday night harassing you and asking you questions because I actually probably need help for my final trade as well this week. But thanks, guys, for watching. Hit subscribe and like if you haven't yet, and we'll see you Tuesday. Have a good one.
Cheerio.